Hi everyone. So today I want to show you how you can auto build conveyors in FlexSim using your own data. And I'll start by showing the default conveyors that FlexSim provides. So if you go to the library pane on the left side here, under conveyors, you'll see that there's a straight and a curved option. Now both conveyors will have typical behaviors built in automatically. And these are a check of whether they're accumulating or not. You can set their speed, acceleration, deceleration. You can set the spacing for when items are stopped moving or when they're entering that conveyor. You can also create slug building behavior for conveyors that are part of merges and so on. Now the straight conveyor has some settings here for the start and end coordinates, the width of that conveyor, the length, and that can be changed by physically moving the conveyor in the 3D model or resizing it by dragging one of the ends or by typing in new values here. The curved sections have additional parameters for the radius of that conveyor, the start angle, which direction the conveyor starts at, and then the sweep angle, the degree of rotation for that curved section. So those are some additional properties that you can change here. Now I've set up a source and a sink and connected these conveyors just to show you what it looks like with boxes traveling on these conveyor sections. Now you see, since we have this set as accumulating, without an exit, the boxes will start accumulating on this conveyor. And you can, again, modify the spacing by changing the stopping space here to be greater than a single item on the conveyor. So now that you've seen these conveyors, let's look at some example data here. So in this example data, we have different sections of conveyor with their start and end coordinates. We also have a defined length and width of that conveyor, the start angle for any curved sections, the sweep angle of those curved sections, their radius, as well as this additional parameter called rise, which is used when building spiral conveyors. And the rise is that Z elevation gain of that conveyor section. We also have the conveyor speed, acceleration, deceleration, an indicator of whether it's accumulating. And then I've also built in some additional visualizations that I'll show here in a second. And each one is going to be associated with one of these conveyor categories. And then lastly is the type, either straight or curved conveyor. So I have some example data here, which I'll link with this video. And what it's doing is it's taking our conveyor data table and it's going to go through each row and build that section of conveyor. So it's adding a new object, which is going to be a instance of either a straight conveyor or a curved conveyor, depending on the type found in that row. We'll set the conveyor's location. We'll set the width, speed, deceleration, acceleration, whether it's accumulating is a property we can change here. And then I'm also adding this visualization and setting the conveyor name. Same goes for curved, with the difference of now we're using our start angle, our sweep angle, and radius. as well as a rise for a spiral section that I'll show. And then I've also included some additional properties that you can set on your conveyor sections. So I built this as a function that we can now run. So if I press play here, you'll see it just built the sections of conveyor based off our data table here. And you can see we have different types of conveyor here. We have our standard roller as well as belted conveyor. This section includes that rise that I was discussing. And that's because this is a spiral conveyor that actually moves product up. We have some curve sections. And then additionally, you can change the way the conveyor looks here by going to System Properties and unchecking this render mode. And now we'll have a more simplified view of the conveyor where I've color coded based off of conveyor types. So these are additional visualizations that I've just built here under the conveyor system. And this is to identify the type of conveyor and set unique parameters associated with that conveyor. I also want to mention real quickly that in the conveyor system properties, you can also change this snap threshold value. And right now it's set to 2/3 of a foot. And that threshold is what connects conveyor automatically. You see they're not quite close enough to connect here, but when I move them into position, now they snap. And that'll be necessary when you're building conveyor from data if there's any gaps between those conveyors to ensure that your snap threshold is large enough to make those connections. So that's how you can build conveyor using your own data, maybe exported from an engineering drawing, and build those automatically in FlexSim using FlexScript code. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for your time.